Welcome back to GearWire.com. This is Jason Donnelly, and we've pretty much done everything. We've created a beat loop, a bass line, and we've laid some chords on top of that. Now let's take those MIDI performances and record the audio into Sony Vegas and edit them into audio loops. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I would go about recording the MIDI performances into Vegas. First thing you want to do is set the ruler tempo to 90 BPM, which is our project tempo, and insert an audio track, arm it to record, set it to the proper inputs on the mixer, and check your levels. Turn the metronome off. Okay, and hit record and play. I usually let my loop pass twice, so I snap the second repetition. That way if there's any kind of effect tail or sustain from the last note, it'll get picked up in the beginning of the loop. That way you don't hear the end, the start and stop of a loop. Makes it a lot smoother. So that's long enough. And that's where we go in and just cut the silence. Set our loop selection tool to 4 measures. So at measure 5-1, we have a beginning of our second repetition, so I'll start there and slide the waveform over and trim that down. And you have a perfect drum loop. Let's do the same thing to grab our bass line. I'm sure there are other ways of going about this. This is how I do it. It's worked quite well for me over the years, so kind of set in my ways. I'm going to grab the second repetition, trim the end. So I'm actually recording each one of these tracks individually, one by one. But we could also have all 3 of the audio tracks recording at once on separate tracks in Vegas. Each one of these are assigned to a different output on the mixer. I don't have it set up that way right now. I have everything going into a sum mixer and then out to 2 stereo outputs. Why I do that? Well, it's because I was getting a lot of strange line noise, and I found that if I put everything through the spec XSum mixer and the Furman, then it diminished the noise to a very minimum amount. Okay, finally we'll record our chords. Same process. setting the waveform upright and using the second repetition. Alright, so there you have it, all 3 loops ready to go. Each track has to be saved down. In Vegas, we would use the render as feature. So, in this case, I would need to solo that track. So we'll title that one Beat 01. The same thing with the bass track. Render as bass 01. And the chords, and I'll call that jazzy chords. And now we have all 3 loops saved. And so the next thing to do would be to bring them into SoundForge for a little mastering, which would involve normalizing, sometimes a slight touch of compression, and a little bit of loudness maximizing. So stay tuned.